You have to do something new. This is important. You already have the tradition. This is your important luggage. It's already heavy. I'm a Scottish winemaker, the country of the potatoes. I'm a winemaker here in California, and what can I tell you the impact that the Italian wine has in the world? The first is the tradition. So don't be scared to create something new, because the tradition you already have, and nobody can steal. Nobody.
Sit back and grab a glass. It's Wine Talks with Paul K.
Hey, welcome to Wine Talks with Paul K. And we are at an away game today, way up in the hills of Alba in Piedmont, Italy, about to have a conversation with Paolo Scaiola. How about that? Not bad.
Hi guys, hello to everyone.
We are here at a conversation with Paolo. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Yes, guys. Thanks to everyone.
This is a new format for us, so you're going to hear conversation in the background, questions. We're going to talk about wine here today at Tenuta Carretta. But that's not the only winery that is part of the family, right? The Tenuta Carretta, there's also Malgra.
Yes, Tenuta Carretta is the mother of a small group of wineries that we have. The main one is located in the Roero, where we are now. We also have 45 hectares located in Nizza Monferrato with the name Malgra, which is the house of the Moscato d'Asti and Barbera d'Asti with the name Nizza. Nizza.
So
it's the same name of the village.
You have 80 hectares under vine?
Yes.
So somewhere around 100 acres?
Yes, plus 35 hectares of Hazelnut.
200 acres. It's plus?
35 hectares of Hazelnut.
Wow.
You know, the fruit.
Yeah. Hazelnuts.
Yes.
Because this is the home of Nutella, right? Isn't that
the home of Ferrero families?
Yes, and Ferrero Rocher.
Ferrero Rocher, Moncherie, the Ferrero company. Consider that in the city of Alba, actually is a village, there are two important families. Miroglio families, which are our owners, business of the textile, everywhere in the world. And the second family, in terms of business, is the Ferrero.
So we understood that they employed quite a few of the local Piemontese at both factories, Nutella and Ferrero Rocher. It's a large organization.
Yes, it's a company everywhere in the world.
Wow.
With the headquarters is still in Alba.
And they don't have tours. We know that. We try to get a tour.
No, but the company is everywhere in the world.
Yes. How long have you been here at Tenuta Carretta?
The first vintage was on 2020.
Wow.
So, like a winemaker point of view, I'm just arrived. If you consider that soon will be on the market my first Barolo, right? After 4 years.
Your first Barolo.
My first Barolo.
Wow.
Not in the history, but.
Well, no, but it's the best one so far, as we know. Right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, of course. But you know, it's an interesting history you have to get here, because this is a very important part of the wine world. It's a very important region inside Italy. But you didn't just study here. You've been all over the world studying wine.
Yes, I decided to study the University of Viticulture and Enologies in Turin, the main village in Piedmont, and then the Master in Viticulture and Enology as well in Alba and the city of Asti. After that, I worked for 5 years, more or less, in a beautiful, I call it boutique, small winery in Serralunga d'Alba, where the owner was my maestro. Was my teacher for everything, for the tasting, to the job of vinification, and especially in the vineyard. After that, I was pretty surprised that day after day, the main customer came from abroad of Europe. So inside of my brain started to be a huge curiosity. Why the people from USA, from Asia, from the other side of the world are so in love with our wines? Maybe it's time to start and to see the world. Then on 2018, I spent 1 year in Sonoma County in a beautiful small winery with the name Dumole, close to Windsor village, Santa Elena. Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon, Nebbiolo grape as well. And that was the main reason, because I spent the harvest with the Winemaker Andy Smith.
That's interesting, Nebbiolo in Sonoma County. You don't see a lot of that.
Yeah.
But how did you find that experience working with American winemakers, American soil, American techniques? Was it new, or was it a rehearsal? What was it?
So the main characteristic that impressed me, it was the passion. I found the same passion that we have here.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So for us, it's common to work with the passion because in that area, the Roero and the Langhe is the main business, the wine. So everyone talk about the wine, everyone drink wine, everyone knows pretty well what you have to do a good wine from an excellent vineyard. But when you are moving to 1 hour from San Francisco, where the climate, the soil is so different compared to our hills, I found the same passion, an incredible technical point of view, probably higher compared to our knowledge, and they can move on the technical point of view on excellent wines, with an international tasting, of course, but I was absolutely impressed. The main difference is for sure that in that kind of area, you don't have the huge tradition that we have. You know, sometimes the tradition is something like a heavy blanket.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
sometimes it's too heavy to do with a new experiment.
And also listen to George Walker. He's part of the Association of African American Vintners. Just got back from their Napa Valley tasting. Incredible conversation about Dwayne Wade, right? Remember him? Dwayne Wade Cellars, amazing conversation. That's an interesting point because that's not unusual for the old world, if you call it old world, to come to America and find this technology, to find the fact that you can do whatever you want with whatever you want. We get to grow Nebbiolo, and you can't grow Cabernet and call it, right? So it's an opportunity for wineries from Europe to come and try this, but for your experience, that was added to the value of your knowledge base to bring this back to Piedmont and say, look, this is what I learned.
Yeah.
Because isn't there something traditional about Tenuta Carretta, and that's part of the terroir, that's part of what goes in the bottle?
As you already know, Tenuta Carretta dates back 1467.
That's a little bit of history.
Before the discovery of the United States, right? So when I arrived here, the first interview with the general manager was, okay, Paolo, we have the history. We have the vineyard. It's time to do something new. You are just arrived from California. After that, I spent also 1 year in Western Australia. Put your knowledge for Tenuta Carretta. We have to move front off to the future. Okay, think outside of the box. Right. That is the claim of the new generation of Tenuta Carretta technical point of view.
There's not a lot of pressure to come and say, oh, you're going to change things, Paolo, it's time to mix it up a bit.
When we are talking about the pressure, just parking lot. Not for the job. It's our job, it's what we want to do.
Right.
And what we love to do every day.
But it's, the point, the question is more like, it's about the consumer. And so if the consumer is changing and the consumer's attitudes are changing, which we know they are in a great way in across the world, and the millennials and the Gen Zs are drinking different things, you have to keep up. Even though we have a traditional business, you got to keep up with what the consumer's asking for.
Yes.
And so it's brighter, younger, fresher, whatever you're talking about. So why did you go to Australia then after this?
So in Australia, I spent 1 year in the Western Australia, south to Perth. Okay, is a new region of the winemaking, really close in terms of weather, climate to the Bordeaux area in France. That's why the 80% of the owner comes from Bordeaux. Big investors, such as LVMH. The name of the company is Cape Mentel, and it's pretty, in terms of size of the company, it's pretty close to Tenuta Carretta. Around 100 hectares of vineyard.
In Margaret River.
In Margaret River.
Beautiful area.
Beautiful area, just vines, surf, and shark.
Yes. She's a surfer. We have that comedy. We're both surfers, as you can tell.
What? With who? Her?
No.
Great.
Oh, she took surfing lessons from... Gary's a surfer too. So in Australia, were you making sparkling wines? Margaret River is good for Chardonnay. It's good for Shiraz.
Right, and Cabernet and
Cabernet. Oh, they have deep Cabernet. It's unbelievable.
Deep, really deep. Right. You say right.
So when you come,
black notes, heavy, powerful.
Strong. Yeah, strong. Yeah, that was great to say. So when you bring that back, and we're going to get started tasting here, and we want you to explain the wines as we do in this. But when we get back from Australia, now you've got three different hemispheres worth of, or two different hemispheres and three different wineries worth of technology and understanding of winemaking. Was it confusing? Like, wait a minute, what am I going to do now? Because now I'm sort of balancing three different methodologies in my brain, or you had a path that you were choosing to take?
It's always better to have more than one option.
Yeah.
This is the goal. There is never for all the job, but especially for the winemaking, because you are working with the nature, there is never one just correct answer. You must have also one, probably is the correct, the second option, and the idea outside of the box. Then, when I have the idea, we discuss, for example, with Enzo, our export manager, because he has the correct point of view on the market,
Yes.
and we discuss, and then we create the product.
He's was quite the guest. We had so much fun together with Enzo, but apparently he's in Singapore now, listening.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes, and listening to the customers more, right?
Yeah.
A really interesting background. Let's get tasting. I was fascinated, affascinante. I mean, affascinante. That you make sparkling wine here, and you make it to the traditional method.
Yes.
That's really interesting. So that's a whole different project, a whole different mindset, a whole different set of rules. Is that something that you picked up along the way as part of you were at Chandon, right?
Yeah, but I start to work with the traditional method during my first experience in Serralunga d'Alba.
Oh, here,
because
wow.
that producer was a really important producer of Alta Langa, one of the most important brand for the sparkling wine traditional method in Piedmont.
So tell us about this Brut Rosé. Is it Brut Rosé?
This is our extra brut rosé.
Extra Brut.
Is a traditional method, so it's the same thing of the Champenois method, but in Italy we have to call like that because Champenois is just for the champagne. Consider that in Italy we have three important appellations for the sparkling wine. I'm talking about traditional method. Trento, the Trento DOC, such as Ferrari. Franciacorta, we are in Lombardy. And now, finally, the traditional method is back in Piedmont. I say that because the first bubble on the market in Italy came from Piedmont. Okay?
Really?
Thanks with the Gancia company.
Oh, gotcha.
In the 19th century, okay, in the second half of the 19th century. But according with the customer, they moved the idea of brut sparkling wine to a sweet one, the Moscato. It was the age of the Moscato. So the Piedmont completely forgot the traditional method composed by Chardonnay and Pinot.
Wow.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Because the market was asking more and more and more something like delicate, huge aroma, and sweet. So for 20, 30 years, the north of Italy just talk about Moscato. Then moves out the Trento appellation, the Franciacorta appellation, that actually on the market in terms of the number are the biggest one. Everyone knows Franciacorta and Trento DOC. But what we are doing since the beginning of 2003, like with the consortium Alta Langa, we decide to move back the bubbles of quality. Okay? And also Tenuta Carretta made Alta Langa with the Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And we start like 6 years ago.
Oh, it's young.
Pretty young.
Yeah.
But now we are talking about our sparkling wine is absolutely a new entry of the reference of Tenuta Carretta. The name is Cuvée San Rocco, is 100% Nebbiolo grape. This is
Really?
our first idea, think outside of the box.
No wonder the nose is so interesting. Fascinating. Interesting. Oh, I got a drink. Sorry.
Cheers.
No, so 100% Nebbiolo Sparkler. So this is interesting because the biggest selling, I hate to say this, but one of the largest selling wines in America is a wine called Stella Rosa, which started as Asti. It's all flavored. It's all junk. It's very, very sweet, but it sells, right?
It sells.
So here you have the origin of Moscato di Asti,
Yes.
and you create a dry extra brut. So with this extra brut, what's the dosage? Is it because extra brut should be a little sweeter than
Yes.
brut? So that you guys understand, extra brut is actually sweeter than brut. So
So for us, for our Cuvée San Rocco 100% Nebbiolo grape, we have 2 grams per liter of sugar.
yeah, that's little.
Okay, so it's almost zero.
Yes.
Because our idea of the Nebbiolo sparkling wine is to have something where the acidity must be the first characteristic of that wine.
Right.
You
I'm
know?
backwards, you guys. I meant extra dry. In America, we call this extra dry. That's sweeter than dry. Extra
Yes,
brut
the
is
extra
drier
dry.
than brut.
Yeah,
But that's that crispness you're getting from the acidity.
yeah.
So is this new to make a Nebbiolo, 100% Nebbiolo sparkler? Because the one we had last night at the restaurant was Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, the traditional blend.
Alta Langhe was,
Yeah.
you remember? Okay,
Yeah, 80-20.
okay.
So
Yeah.
that's a brut. That was a brut. So what, 3 to 4 grams of sugar?
Maximum 10.
10? Wow.
Maximum, yeah. Maximum. There is a big range in terms of sugar amount when we are talking about of traditional method.
And traditionally disgorged all the. So what happens is, you saw the riddle rack in the cellar. Every day they turn it a quarter of a turn. At least traditionally you would do that. Then
The remouage,
right, it collects all the yeast at the neck, and you freeze it.
yes.
And they freeze the neck and pull that plug of junk, spent yeast cells, and then they fill it back in with
our liqueur d'expédition. The liqueur is just the wine with some additive inside that we are put again in the bottle to fulfill the bottle easily.
Right.
The liqueur d'expédition is the secret recipe for the company, of course. Our liqueur d'expédition for the Nebbiolo sparkling wine is different compared to our Alta Langhe.
Wow, interesting.
Okay.
Are there rules in the district for the quality of that distilled spirit, or it's up to you?
Is our decision,
It's your decision.
but we have to be inside of the limit of the law, of course. For example, we are talking about a little addition of sulfur, you must be under the limit, but this is not a problem for the sparkling and for Tenuta Carretta because we are considered that we are for all our wines, we have alpha compared to the maximum of limit of the sulfur. Then you can add the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
This is your decision according with the customer and with our idea that we have behind the sparkling wine. In that case, is an extra brut. That's why we decide to have just 2 grams per liter.
Do you do this with every varietal, or it's only the sparkling?
We did that kind of job for our free wines traditional method. First is the Nebbiolo sparkling. Second is our Alta Langhe Padosé, that for us is with 0 sugar. And the last one is our Alta Langhe Brut, with more sugar, like 4.5 grams per liter. So we can go on the market with 3 different products. The Padosé, no. Yeah, we have 2 Alta Langhe, the Padosé and the Brut. The Padosé, 0, and the Brut, yes.
Wow, it has zero sugar. None.
Yes.
Strictly brandy you put back in it.
This is not just a technical point of view because, we are moving on a market where the alcohol
Yes.
is like something that we don't want to have,
Yes.
but the sugar as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So are you talking about the non-alcoholic movement at this point where people are drinking wines that don't have alcohol, which I don't understand because it makes no sense to me?
I'm agree with you, and we can finish the discussion.
Yeah, okay. So
What form is the sugar in that you add? Is it just cane sugar? Is it
You can, normal is the sugar cane or the white one, the saccharose. Is the same sugar that you're going to buy to kitchen to prepare. Yes.
Really?
Yes. Usually now we are using the white one because it's more neutral on the flavor. The sugar cane is excellent, but probably in the future we start to use for the pas d'osé, if you want to add some sugar, because give some flavor. It's something like raw, okay? Something like more original sugar, because he give in the wine some flavor. The white one is absolutely neutral.
And so one of these grapes picked. Well, the Nebbiolo. So this is an interesting question. If you're going to pick Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and Champagne, you're picking it early. The berries are small. There's lots of acid. We have less sugar. But a Nebbiolo is a totally different animal. Are you picking it early compared to your still Nebbiolo?
It's strange because we pick later
Really?
compared to the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir, but just for one reason. Because the vine of the Nebbiolo has a really long phenological cycle.
I see.
That means that the Nebbiolo, compared to the Chardonnay, Pinot Noir on our grape variety of the tradition, is the first during the season that made the bud break.
Yes.
And the last that can be ripe. That's why it's the longest.
So there's the longest growing season from bud break, which I saw right here,
Yeah.
to picking.
Yeah.
But then doesn't the sugar content in the grape get too high for sparkling wine?
This you decide with the time harvest.
I see.
Okay? But what is important is that this discussion was the origin before to create that wine. Okay, we are using Chardonnay and Pinot Noir like all the wineries in the world. We are in Piedmont, big tradition. Tenuta Carretta has all the vineyard in Roero appellation, Barbaresco appellation, Barolo appellation. So when the customer comes abroad from Europe to taste our wine, maybe the people are really interested to taste sometimes more the Barolo and Barbaresco compared to the Dolcetto, to give you an idea. Because it's more prestigious, that kind of wine. When we are doing the tasting with the name Nebbiolando, that means walking across the Nebbiolo grape, because we have all the shades.
Write that down, somebody. Nebbiolo.
I have a question. The Nebbiolo Extra Brut is very, very light. How do you keep the pigment not from getting into the... How come it's not red instead of very light pink?
Consider that when we put the whole cluster in the press to crush the grape and to take out the free run juice, we spend like 1 hour to fulfill the press with the grape. After that, we don't start with the job on the press, but we leave the grape inside of the press for 1 hour. We are checking the juice that is leaking out from the press with a wine glass. It's a really empiric way. When we see that the color is what we want to obtain, push start with the press and the cycle will start. 3 hours of cycle and we take out all the juice that we need. But you know what is the beautiful thing? Is that from one press, we obtain 3 different tanks with 3 different levels of quality. Free run juice, first piece is the French name. Second piece, and press juice. We never use the press juice to do this wine. Because the press juice, the pressure to take out the juice from the grape inside of the press is too high. And with the juice, we take out the tannins as well. The tannins sometimes are too much astringent. The bubble, Charmat method, traditional method, must be a funny wine. Okay, a wine that you drink for the aperitif, for the graduation of the daughter, for the marriage of the son. Okay, the bubble must be
whether you like the guy or not.
So must be fresh, light, acid, and easy drinking. Then, if you want to talk about the quality, the tradition, the beautiful of the Cuvée San Rocco is that is Nebbiolo grape. So we must talk about all the Piedmontese tradition. But the main goal is to have a drinkable wine with a bubble.
So are you making Charmat too with the non-free run juice? You're making Charmat with it? You're using blending
No,
it?
the Charmat in Tenuta Carretta is just for the Moscato d'Asti.
Oh, this one.
And that's it.
So how is the world receiving sparkling Nebbiolo? Is it out of Piemonte? Are you shipping it worldwide? Are people responding to this? And plus, you're competing against Prosecco as well, right? I mean, the traditional.
The Prosecco is our first enemy.
Yeah, I
in
know.
Piedmont. Sorry for that, guys. We know that everywhere in the world probably is the first bubble, probably just before the champagne. But
Really,
so,
you think it predates champagne?
yeah.
Wow.
In terms of number of bottles.
Yes.
Not
Well,
in terms
yeah.
of, if you
Not the
consider the
history.
price, another history, of course. But of course, what is important for the Italian product is that everywhere in the world or in the wine list, there is a product from Italy. You know, this is a common way we're talking about the business. But if you want to talking about the wine on the quality point of view, we must go on the market with a traditional method because we are
Absolutely.
a Piedmontese winery.
I agree with you 100%. The problem I have is I taught my son-in-law how to drink champagne and sparkling wine, and now it costs me a lot of money to have him over at the house.
I think so. I think so.
Has this gotten to the United States yet? The Nebbiolo and Alba?
Yeah, consider that now we are tasting the vintage 2021. It's just the second vintage on the market.
Wow, that's a pretty bold thing to do, to start
Yeah.
the sparkling wine and
Yeah, but
get to the market.
on the market point of view, this reference is absolutely captivating.
Yeah.
Because if the customer like you comes here to taste, to have an idea about our wine for the 60% is composed by Nebbiolo. Yeah. So you already are a wine lover. Mm-hmm. Why we can offer to you a bubbles from Nebbiolo? That was our simple idea. Consider that the first vintage, the previous one, 4,000 bottles.
Wow, that's not much.
2021, time 2.
Well, it's
And
still not much.
unfortunately, the last vintage, we skipped the vintage because we're receiving an important storm. So our vineyard was pretty damaged. So not to produce a good result. So for the vintage 2024, we are ready to produce 20,000 bottles.
It's
Okay,
growing.
to give you how
Yeah, it's
the
growing.
Nebbiolo sparkling is moving
Can do it slowly, though. That's smart.
between Prosecco, Champagne,
Yeah, I mean-
Franciacorta.
Ship to America?
Absolutely, yes.
And you started this in 2018?
2020,
Oh, the year you started.
yes.
So was this your idea?
Yeah. You were the pioneer. Yeah. With the support of the property, I can tell one short story
Sure, please.
behind this wine. So when I arrived here, 6 months later, I proposed this new wine. The owner, which is a owner or an important business everywhere in the world, is not a kind of diplomatic businessman. Okay, he's really in love with the wines.
Yes,
That's
good.
why he bought on
That's what we need.
1985 Tenuta Carretta. But he loves the wines of the tradition. When I proposed that, he told me, "Look, Paolo, I don't know. Let's bring some bottle from the market. There are just 4 or 5 producer of that kind of sparkling from Nebbiolo, and let's taste before the
All
harvest."
Piemontese, all of them?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not Piemontese. In Langhe.
And Langhe.
In Langhe. Just in Langhe and Roero.
Okay.
We taste all together. We made a blind taste. The result was, okay, Paolo, I don't like the wines. Came from Nebbiolo. No, but look, my point of view is that
Yes.
there is something missing in the vinification.
Yes.
With our vineyard and the quality, we can do something better. Trust me. The final phrase from the owner, Eduardo Miroglio, was, "Okay, Paolo, I believe in you.
Well, there you go.
But sorry, after 6 months, I don't still believe in your job. So feel free to do the experiment. I'm waiting the result. After that, I bring the hammer on your bolts on the table, and then feel free to change."
Well, yeah,
No
I told you
filter,
there's pressure in
right?
this job, isn't there? So, but you came from LVMH, you made Chandon, right? I mean, a little better experience, but those other wines just weren't good. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
They didn't taste good. The balance was off.
No,
The
I
flavors are-
tasted the wine on the table with the owner, and in fact, the result was not just on my point of view and our idea, the product that we want to obtain. Okay, but you know, if you are in the job,
Yes.
you understand if something missing in the wine. So after the tasting, I understood that, okay, we have a potential because I know what kind of vineyard we have.
Yes.
I know what kind of job we can do according with our Alta Langa. We have already experience. Let's try with a small amount, but let's try.
And so he didn't bring the hammer.
No,
Okay, good.
but he's still waiting.
Yes.
What was the difference? Was it the quality of your grapes or the process?
Both because when we are talking about wine, we are first and for the 60% always talk about the quality of the grape. It is like the food, okay? We are in Italy. Let's talk about Italian food. The Italian restaurants are everywhere. Also with the Italian chef, the Italian waiters, the Italian sommelier. But happen that the result of the same, I don't know, agnolotti, the same lasagne, okay, the same pizza has a different result. Why? The food. The origin of the food. Of course, the water 1 hour from Sanfra or the water in LA is different compared to our water. But this is the same from Alba to Sicily, from Sicily to Rome. Okay, so the main is always the quality of the food and for us, the grape. After that, it's important to have the technical point of view. You must know how to do the job. Of course.
Well, what's
And
the old
after
adage?
that, you have just to cross the fingers because it's not just technical. Honestly, is sometimes we bring some decision and we are pretty bohemian, pretty romantic.
Yes.
Just because we know the technical, but we also know our tradition. And sometimes we create a big discussion between tradition and technical point of view.
That's a tough decision.
Yeah.
And then you got to throw in the consumers looking for different things, but you want to be traditional to the methods. And I'm very romantic about wine. I think it should be absolutely a sense of time and place. This is what it was, when it was, and that's all it should be.
Yeah.
But I'm outvoted in that because people want to make money and they want to, sell stuff. So that's the way it goes. But you can't, to answer his question, you can't make good wine from bad grapes, but you certainly can make bad wine from good grapes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
So what are we drinking? We have this Roero and Arneis, which is one of my favorite grapes of all time. And we had this last night, I think, before dinner, right? There's so many white grapes from Italy. I mean, there must be 1,000 or something. The number is 2,000.
Yeah.
But Arneis has this wonderful minerality, this structure, this acid content that it's different than any other grape. Is this the main white grape of Langhe and Roero?
Absolutely,
My
yes.
Italian accent, Roero.
Paul, Roero.
Roero.
Excellent. Use the French accent.
Yes, okay, absolutely.
It's done. It's done. So, Italy, you already know, has an incredible amount of indigenous grape variety. The indigenous grape variety has two characteristics. Can give the best result in a small area. That's why are not international, because if you move 2,000-3,000 away from the origin, they can change a lot, and often on a bad way. Often, not always, but often. In Piedmont, we have the main white grape is the Cortese for the production of the Gavi. The second one is the Arneis. Arneis is the indigenous grape which found the best condition in the history. What about soil, microclimate, microclimate in the hill just around Tenuta Carretta. That area is called Roero. That's why the wine that we are tasting now with the name Callega, the appellation is Roero Arneis. That means that white grape, indigenous grape, excellent result on the sandy soil. Why? You should imagine the vines which is growing on that soil. When the soil is rich of sandy, it's pretty soft. So the roots can move easily, deeply, to bring first the water and second nutrients. And the result of the wines from Roero is always something like light wine. A lot of aroma compounds and gentle. This is the main characteristic of the Roero area if you want to compare to the other side of the Tanaro River, which is Langhe appellation. But during the tasting, we have the opportunity to compare.
This is fabulous, and you're right. There's aroma, the nose. So how deep are these roots now? Are we talking 10 meters, 30 meters?
It depends how the nutrients, where the
they
nutrients
are,
are.
yes.
Yes.
They go find it.
Usually in the first meter and meter and a half, the vines find all the elements like a food for us.
Yes.
But usually the water is deeply, and you say correctly, around 10 meters.
Yeah.
Sometimes 15, sometimes just 6,
imagine-
depend where the water is in the hill.
Give me a root 45 feet.
So on our tour before we met you, we were told that like the last 2 years there was drought or less rain. This year we're on track to have more rain, but when you go through 2 years of drought, how does that affect the wine that you produce?
Is pretty tough job, pretty tough, because considering that the climate change, or is better to call it global warming, started like 15, 20 years ago, we started to see the effect on the vineyard. We start to see the effect. But consider that now the effect of the climate change is strange to say, but we are on an incredible moment for the Nebbiolo and for the Piedmontese viticulture. Because in the history, the climate close to the harvest was pretty cold and a lot of raining. So we never obtained the optimum of the quality for our grapes in that area. With the climate change, increase a little bit the temperature, less raining, less snow. Now we are on a perfect period to obtain the excellent grape. But what happened on the 20, 21, 22? We move a little bit over to that limit. Low amount of rain, the winter start to be pretty medium temperature and not cold temperature. And with cold temperature in our region, I mean -10, -15, okay? So the first effect was on the white grape. Less acidity, higher alcohol amount. Okay, what you have to do in that condition, you start 5-10 days early the harvest, and you can contrast the concentration of the sugar and the drop down of the acidity. This is what we can contrast straight away, the climate change. Now we are thinking about a different point. I mean, cover crop.
Yes.
So plant the grass and different kind of grass. You can see outside of the window, the hills in Tenuta Carretta, like more of our colleagues in Piedmont and in Italy, we want to have the grass. We want to have, because first, the grass can give nutrients in the soil, can maintain the soil not compact, but like a sponge. If you move with a tractor, it's like a sponge. Hop, and it moves back. Reflect the light, okay? Because if the soil is dark, of course, the light will be directly there, but with no reflection. With the green, you can reflect better the light. And then to create a competition between grass and vines. If the vines has less water and less nutrients to eat and to drink, the development from the bud break to the final grape is lower.
Wait, say that one more time. The last thing you said,
Development of the grape,
development of the grape.
right?
Yeah.
Competition. Does everybody have grass or just you do? Is that common in this whole area?
Is something like everywhere in the world are thinking. But if you think about the California, they know pretty well where is a warm climate. They start straight away with the irrigation. In Italy now the irrigation is yeah.
So is Italy the only country in the world that doesn't allow irrigation in their vineyards, or?
No, many regions in France
No,
don't either.
many, but is the most restricted in Italy compared to our colleagues on the other side of the Alps mountain. Yeah, because we can use it just in mountain. And when I said mountain, I talk about Valle d'Aosta region or Alto Adige region, because you have not the soil like here, but you have maybe no more than 1 meter of soil and then a rock compact. And they have a lot of water. So if they put in the vineyard, moves out a little bit in the vines and then again on the rock and again on the river, okay? In Italy, no, because you have just to consider one point. The idea of the law in Italy behind the vines and behind that there is behind of our Italian wine is just a round of the quality. That means if you want to do a DOC wine, mostly of the time is on the hill and never on the flat. Because on the hill, usually, you have more aroma, more freshness, something better compared to the flat. Don't do the irrigation, because in Italy, on the historical point of view, we have a lot of rain. So, if you need the irrigation for your vineyard, that means you are in the wrong place to plant a vineyard. That's the law behind the wine quality in Italy. And that's why actually we don't add often the water just on an emergency situation. Okay?
So how about when you first plant, like in France, Burgundy, you can irrigate for the first 1 or 2 vintages or 1 year to start the plants. Can you do that here? If you plant a fresh vineyard and you've got to get going, you can put a little water.
So now I don't agree 100% in our condition, in our area, the irrigation. For one thing, if you create a new vineyard and you put the system of the irrigation, that means the roots of the vines stay on the surface. Because you have, it's like a lazy child, okay? If you give every time something to eat, for sure he wanna eat.
Yeah, right.
Okay? This is not good for the healthy of the young guys.
Right.
This is the same for the vines. The vines, if feel that in the surface will find the water, the roots stay on the surface. Mm-hmm. And what happens when the climate change will be tough, with the temperature of the surface of the soil will be pretty high, the first damage will be on the roof.
You're right. Correct.
So, the vines is like liana. The plant
You see your face?
in the
Don't ask me a
jungle
word
of
in
Tarzan.
English.
It's like a liana. It's that kind of plant that if you live here, it can move like 10 meters
Right.
up. It's the same inside of the soil. We have to give to the vines the opportunity to move and to discover the soil, because now we have the water.
Go find the
this
water.
is just our opinion.
No,
That's
but it's
why-
right. It's accurate. I think that's
But-
that's commonly practiced.
No.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
we have a different Arneis. We have a different Arneis. This one seems to have a little oak.
Here, no. So the previous one was the Callega, the Arneis, just stainless steel tank.
Yes.
Fruity, simple wine to drink every day. This is the Alteno. The vintage is 2019. The Alteno is the second new reference in Tenuta Carretta. Why? Because our first is a Riserva. Riserva means that it's something that aging more in the winery. Usually, you already know to create a Riserva about the white wines, you do the alcoholic fermentation in the wood. This is not the case.
Really?
This wine aging for 2 years in stainless steel tank, just with the batonnage, to move the lees inside.
That's where all the depth comes from, the batonnage, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Then we do the bottling, élevage in the bottling for 2 years, and is on the market from 4 years from the vintage.
Really? For white wine.
Yes. This is a new idea of the
Fascinante.
reserve.
Oh, I've got to drink something. But it has the depth of new French oak or some French oak, but it's none. Zero.
No.
All stainless steel, strictly batonnage and bottling.
Yes. What is incredibly curious about the Arneis grape variety is that if you leave this wine to aging for a while, more than 1 year, it's pretty close to the Chardonnay. Sometimes happen that these two grape reminds the aroma compounds of the wood.
Yes.
It's something like particular. Why? Honestly, I still don't know. We should ask to New World Winemaking.
Yes, yeah,
reason.
we asked those guys. We can do the red. That is really interesting. I would have sworn there's new French oak in this.
Yeah.
I noticed the barrels. Were those, was it Italian oak in the large barrel, the larger barrels?
Yes. Usually our botte, the big
Botte?
vats.
Yeah.
We love to use the Italian wood, but French and Slavonian wood as well.
Slovenia, yes. Slovenia is getting popular that way.
Yeah.
So,
Can I ask a question? What is
batonnage is go ahead. He's the winemaker. What are you asking me for? What's the
The
batonnage?
botte is the vat, the wood container of big size. You see downstairs in our barrel room, we have the first barrel room with just a small container. And we use it for the Barbera and for the white wines. In the second one, you saw the big container. In Italian, we call it botte. Round shape, big size.
How many
wood
liters?
material.
How many liters is that? 1,500?
25, 50. So,
2,500?
2050,
Yeah.
yes. 2,500 and 1,500.
Can you define baton, how do you say it, baton?
Batonnage.
Yeah. The batonnage is when you... so consider that when the alcoholic fermentation in the wine is finished, you have the yeast that are died inside of the tank. The yeast, when are died, are pretty close to a sandy. If you see, it's like a creamy sandy, something like that. And it's like the 1% of the total volume. On the old-fashioned point of view, the old winemaker are usually to take out the lees to maintain the wine brilliant inside of the tank. The new winemaking idea, the research discovered that lees, that creamy, is the real soul of the wine because it's an antioxidant. So you can use less sulfur. Help to the wine to increase the fatness sensation. You tasted the wine, the previous one, is pretty round. Yes. This wine has 0 of sugar, okay, inside. This is the effect of the batonnage, and the lees can leave to the wine the fat sensation. They are called amino acid, proteins. Okay, that's why we are doing the batonnage to protect the wine against the oxygen, result less sulfur, and to increase the fat sensation, no sugar inside.
So batonnage is a process, or is it this creamy?
No. The creamy is called lees. The lees is the sediment of the wine, the soul of the wine. And the batonnage is the job that you're doing to steer. You can use steer, it's the same.
Now, is it manual or is it inside the barrels?
In the small wood is manually. You put one stick and I don't know if it's fine for the podcast.
No, that was right. That was exactly right. That's the correct word in English. So
and the large, you put like a helic, like the motor of the boat.
yeah.
We put inside, turn on for a couple of minutes, and take out.
For 3 years on that?
Monthly. monthly for, yes.
Okay, this is the next wine we're having now is pretty bizarre in the world of Piemonte and Langhe particularly, and it's so interesting because it's Riesling, the famed grape of the noble grape of Germany. But the difference I get is completely terroir driven. I mean, you get that sort of kerosene nose you get from you get some hints of Riesling as you would in Germany, but then you get this totally different structure and terroir character. It's fascinating. Affascinante, okay.
Now I
to
understood
it.
the game.
Yes.
Oh, affascinante. Okay.
So tell us why they decided to grow Riesling here and what you think is coming
Okay.
out of it.
Paul, you say right, the Riesling grape variety is absolutely not indigenous grape in Piedmont. In Italy, it's pretty common to find on the northeast, like Alto Adige, south of Austria.
Cooler parts.
Yeah, Austria, and especially in German. The house of the Riesling in the world is 100% from German. Excellent result, pretty captivating wines. Why we have now Riesling in Tenuta Carretta is the last new reference that we taste today all together. Riesling, because since 15 years ago, a couple of producers start to plant it in Langhe.
Professors.
Yes. And they discovered that, guys, we have a good terroir for the Riesling. Consider that, you already know that probably, the Riesling is the king of the white wines in the world. We have also the Chardonnay, the Sauv Blanc, absolutely yes. But for the wine lover, the Riesling is the king. And just because in Piedmont, for our point of view, the Barolo, so the Nebbiolo is the king, the winemaker and the owner in Piedmont loves everyone that can aging forever, we can say, in the bottle. That's the origin of the curiosity of the Italian winemaker, the Piedmontese winemaker behind the Riesling. And we start to plant it, a small amount.
Did the northern Italians get upset that you're doing this?
So when we say accept in Italy is always a stray point of view.
From Balsamo region?
Yes.
And then you brought it here, so I would imagine they would be a little upset at you.
Yeah, but everyone that works in the winemaking has a lot of passion. And if you have a lot of passion, 50% you are sometimes too direct to say that. Keep going to produce Nebbiolo. We are talking about Riesling, please. But the other 50% is, I'm curious to see how the Riesling grape could be in Piedmont. Because you know what is the key of the Italian success in the world? Is the result. If you do a blind tasting of a Barolo, probably you can recognize it. If you taste a Barbera, you can recognize it. If you taste a Nerello Mascalese, if you taste a Vermentino from Sardinia, a Lambrusco from Emilia, you can recognize it. This is our successful in the world because we produce a small amount of bottle of wine really linked with the territory. Sometimes happen that when you're tasting a Sauv Blanc, it's not pretty easy to recognize is northern of the world or south of the world. This happens with the Charteau. Of course, there is a top premium. I mean, if you go in the Burgundy, it's pretty easy to recognize a Chardonnay from the Mâconnais or a Chardonnay from the Chablis. But this is true also for the Chardonnay came from the New World. When I was in Australia and we were tasting the Chardonnay from the different regions, this difference is lower. There is, of course, the difference compared to a Chardonnay of Margaret River compared to a Chardonnay from the other side, but lower.
Yes. It's a little hard to tell.
So we start to conclude the experience with our Riesling. But the idea is to create also a new vineyard. So the Riesling vineyard is planted on 650 meters above
Wow.
of altitude. Okay.
It's 2000.
Yes. And it's a north face exposure.
Wow.
This is to try.
Well, that's to make it sort of emulate what Riesling likes and what it wants.
Yes. So the Riesling is not came from this beautiful amphitheater of the Roero or from Langhe appellation. Is in Alta Langa because the altitude of the hill are higher compared here on the around this table. We are more or less around 300 meters. And I think that the result is something like crispy acidity, sage aroma, just start to taste a little kerosene.
Wow, the sage, that makes sense.
The sage,
Yeah.
something like crazy. And in the mouth is really straight, like a knife.
Yes. No, it,
It had a little more acidic. The Riesling, this Riesling was a little more acidic.
Yeah.
Than the Turin.
Is more?
I thought it was maybe.
I'm happy for that.
Oh, good.
Because the
good, because I wasn't sure it was. This is the thing that you just mentioned, which is exactly right. This does not smell like or feel like German Riesling. It does not feel like Austrian Riesling. It feels different. I wouldn't say I would understand Langhe Riesling yet, but we are about to learn. But really, really interesting wine. I almost said fascinating, but I didn't feel like drinking.
But I taste like a dill, almost like, you know, the herb dill?
yeah,
Good.
Aneto. Yeah.
Now, see, Tina and Michael passed the aroma test in the cellar with the rose, the tea, and thing, and I didn't. All right, we're on the Nebbiolo from
It's a
Langhe.
funny game.
Yeah, it's a really
It's a
good
funny
thing.
game.
Yes, Langhe Nebbiolo, which I think is one of the great values when you look at a wine list at an Italian restaurant. That instead of going to a Barolo or Barbaresco, you can go to a Langhe Nebbiolo. Not so much money.
So the Langhe Nebbiolo is a new cool appellation for the market because probably you have the two most popular name from our region on the label. You have the name of the Langhe that reminds Barolo and Barbaresco, and you have the name of the most prestigious grape, Nebbiolo.
But is Langhe a grape? No. It's a region.
Yes. Langhe, yes.
Nebbiolo is the grape, Langhe is region.
Yes.
Got it.
For example, in the Langhe, there are the villages were responsible to produce Barolo and Barbaresco. Then, for us, is Nebbiolo, grape, but on a modern point of view. You already know pretty well the Nebbiolo is characteristic by aristocratic aroma compounds, structure, tannins. Sometimes it's heavy, we can say that.
That's true. Strong.
Strong. Well, the Langhe Nebbiolo must be the first step before to taste the Barbaresco and the Barolo. Is the Nebbiolo for everyone. You want to drink it during the aperitif in the summer, go for it. Put in the fridge for 30 minutes and drink it when it's a little fresh.
Is it can we get something we consider like
It won't be down.
No problem, because when the temperature will increase, will be an explosion of aroma. This is a little trick that we do in the restaurant.
Keep it cool.
Yeah, just 3-4 degrees Celsius, no more, but little fresh.
But there's still a lot of terroir in this wine. You still get that. I mean, there's still complexity here.
Yeah, because it's a Nebbiolo.
Yeah.
But you know the vinification behind this wine? I learned it in Sonoma County.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not carbonic.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
We leave the whole berry without to crush. In Piedmont,
Yeah.
it's pretty common to the stem
Yeah,
and
right.
crush the grape and then move the grape in the tank. In Sonoma County, I discovered that if you take out the stem, right, but leave the whole berry inside.
Wow.
For 3-4 days, nothing happened. Then the yeast start to work inside of the berry. When you taste the berry, will be bubbling.
A little bit of acid, a little alcohol in there too, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's so carbonic maceration from Nebbiolo. You learned from Sonoma. You brought it back to Piedmont.
Yes.
So that was gonna be one of my questions. From Australia, from Napa,
They took it over the trees.
what you learned there, how much of what you learned there did you bring back and implement here?
So the idea to create the sparkling from Nebbiolo, not on the technical point of view from California, but the mentality. You have to do something new. This is important because you already have the tradition. This is your important luggage. It's already heavy. This was when the winemaker, we was talking about that. Paolo, I'm a Scottish winemaker, the country of the potatoes. I'm a winemaker here in California, and what can I tell you, the impact that the Italian wine has in the world, the first is the tradition. So don't be scared to create something new, because the tradition you already have, and nobody can steal. Nobody. In California, we don't have the tradition. I mean, we start to have a little tradition, but for the customer, we are considered the new winemaking world. And that's it. You have no space to move to the left, to the right. That's it. So we must do something close to the French style, because everywhere in the world, the most famous wine in the world comes from France. I want to say, unfortunately. Okay? Because we love our cousin a lot.
Of course. Yes, you have to. Right? You're just right across the street.
That's changing. That's changing, yes.
So where is the biggest market for your wines? What area of the world?
United States, absolutely. California, for the West Coast. For the East Coast, of course, is New York.
She has a question for you. Which one do you want to pour?
And we are really happy for that because everyone loves California. Everyone.
So the reason you like California is you got to leave.
California has changed.
Did you enjoy the Podio? Did you enjoy the Langhe Nebbiolo?
Very good.
Great. Is the new appellation on the market. I mean, it's not new because the Langhe Nebbiolo is on the market since a while. But we discovered that, of course, the price is lower. It's a kind of wine that you can taste and drink every day. In terms of the quality, the freshness, is a cherry aroma, pretty creamy in the mouth, not heavy.
But what I noticed is it was carbonic. Oh, it was 100% carbonic?
No, just 50%.
So, your Gavi, is that same as Gavi to Gavi from, is your Gavi and Gavi to Gavi? Gavi to Gavi is the wine from Sicily, right?
No. Gavi is the grape is Cortese and comes from south, like 1 hour driving from here, and we rent a couple of hectares of vineyard to produce this wine. Why? Because in the world, the main white wines, especially on the Europe market, like German, is another huge market for us. The main white is Gavi.
Okay, so they just pronounce it differently.
I'm sorry, can you explain your question?
Well, she
because
gets
in
the
the
language.
Celestino's
She goes to
and
Celestino's.
Celestino's
Oh.
and all the Italian restaurants, they sell Gavi
Gavi
Gavi.
to
Yeah. And they say it's Sicilian.
So Gavi is the village where it's possible to produce the Gavi wine.
My father loved wine, loves wine, and you know, in the old days, we used to say it has good legs. You know, go. Is that still important? Is that still an indicator of a good wine?
I can give you two answers. On the sommelier point of view, when you stir your wine in the glass and you see the line, that can be a good descriptor of the intensity of the wine because can explain how many glycerin there is inside of the wine. Of course, it's a natural compounds of the wine. After the alcohol and the water, you have that kind of compounds. So if you have a lot of glycerin, you have a lot of these legs. Yes. If the wine is lower in alcohol, you have less. Now we are jump to our top premium wines. The Brick Paradiso is the name
about
of the vineyard,
70% of it.
and we decide to have the name on the label because it's strictly linked with the history. On the Notarial Act dates back 1878, we found the name Brick Paradiso to describe the vineyard of the top.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Okay, we're in paradise, people.
And Paradiso because the next time, if you wanna come and you wanna spend a couple of days here, we can move together to walk in the vineyard and to see the origin of the name. If you're moving on the top of that hill, you have the beautiful overview on the village of Alba, on the bottom, Barbaresco Hills and Barolo Hills.
Wow.
So from that hill, you can see all the important appellation of Langhe and Roero.
Paradiso.
Paradiso.
And is it brick soil?
The soil is sandy. Is a typical soil that we have in the Roero area. Is an homogeneous soil. So if you imagine to cut the profile of the hill and you can see the slice of the hill, you can see that it's an homogeneous. It's not characterized by a different layers. The heterogeneous soil, so different layer in Langhe. That's why this is the main characteristic between Roero wine and Langhe wines, not the winemakers. Okay, the soil. The vintage is 2018. We are talking about an important crew, right? Vintage of the tradition. A lot of snow and rainfall during the winter. Rainy spring like 23, like 24 now. Regular temperature during the summer. The result is something really aromatic, licorice, wilted rose, and in the mouth is light. Okay, this is the characteristic. Yes.
But this still has lots of time to develop.
Yeah.
This aroma is going to change radically. It's really special.
When you were in Napa, what region is similar in the Napa or Sonoma region to this region? Like Howell Mountain, was there a specific region that was close to this?
No. Both of them are excellent in terms of quality. Right. Both of them. I was impressed. My point of view, you have some top premium vineyard of Cabernet Sauvignon in Napa, up in the mountain, but not the 80% of the vineyard. I was more impressed in Sonoma because, yeah, in Sonoma, they are more rustic.
Yeah, rustic.
Rustic.
Uh-huh.
So they have pretty well the idea of the freshness, and they are looking for that. I was impressed by the Pinot Noir in the middle of the forest of the red tree.
You're talking up in the Russian River and Seafair. Pretty amazing.
Foggy area, pretty cold. In Sonoma County, and I think in Napa as well, it's pretty common to do the harvest during the night.
Yes.
And I remember that my clothes were not appropriate to do the harvest. Yeah, because it was like 8 degrees.
Yes.
And the lion.
Yeah.
The lion of the mountain, the animal.
Yes. Yes, the mountain lion.
Yeah.
Yes. But so the Petaluma Bagat.
So Sonoma is more my point of view. And also you have, if you move northern, you have the limit and you have the Oregon, right? The Oregon.
Willamette Valley, yeah.
Yeah.
The Willamette Valley.
There is something special as well. Yeah, but just for the weekend. Just to, I went there and then moved back.
So are all these wines area, one particular grape, or do you mix them?
One grape.
Just one grape, that's it, 100%?
Yes. So consider that when you see, if you see the front label, you have first the name Roero, which is the name of the appellation where you are now. So we are in the Roero appellation. First is the Roero, such as for the Barolo.
Thank you.
The main on the label is Barolo. Then, if you have a different name, this is the name of the crew, which is the nickname of the vineyard. But to put on the label must be registered. So, if you want to call Brick Paradiso and put on the label, you have to do the request to the government. The government talk with the agronomist and winemaker of the government to say, okay, Paolo, you asked me if you want to put Brick Paradiso from that hill. Now we are checking if your vineyard is different compared to the other one. If they found the difference, you can put the name. Otherwise, there is no reason that you can put the name on the label. It's something, it's like on the swimming pool, you jump inside of the difficult. But this is why the wine is so fascinating for the customer. I discovered the game.
That's all you have to say to sell more wine.
Yeah. So for this experiment, starting with the Langhe and then the Brick Paradiso, and now the Roero, we've gone up in complexity, we've gone up in depth, we've gone up in structure a little bit.
Yeah.
Really good. By the way, a fellow motocross, Michael.
Who?
Motocross rider.
Motocross?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, he's a
Which
racer.
one?
Which one?
Yeah.
I've got a Honda CR 450.
Okay. 350?
Yeah.
2 times.
Any place around here to run?
There, in our vineyard. Feel free to go. Feel free to go.
Yeah, he was motocross too.
Which one?
I got a Honda CR 450.
Cool. I have the KTM 450. But I'm looking for 350 beta.
How about Ducati? You know Ducati?
Ducati.
No, yeah.
Bugatti.
I'm getting that beta 390. That's fine.
390. I never heard it. Ah, cool.
It's a motocross bike that's street legal.
Oh, good. That's good news for us. Yeah.
I'm not gonna ride on the road, but I
No.
can cross the road.
Okay.
True. But the guys came from United States, especially California, are the best in the world about the off-road, right? The best. Except Caroli. Yeah, but it's one drop in the sea, Caroli. Cool. Pretty cool. Caroli is from Sicily.
Oh, really?
Not like the Gavi,
Yeah.
but 100% from Sicily.
That's funny.
Anyway, last wine.
Yes, last
then
wine.
you are free to go to have a beautiful lunch in Locanda in Canubi.
Wow.
Is one of the best places in Langhe. Locanda in Canubi.
In Canubi.
Okay, you will be amazing experience for you, and just consider that we have the vineyard around the restaurant, and we produce the most iconic Barolo in the history, Barolo
Right there.
Canubi. Okay, they will take
We had that last night.
in
It
Canubi.
was incredible.
Gaia will explain everything, especially the vineyard, because she knows pretty well.
So tell us about this
Barbaresco.
Barbaresco.
Barbaresco, we are jumping from this hill to 15 kilometers in the Langhe appellation. We are the north compared to the village. Usually, Barbaresco is considered the female expression of the Nebbiolo because light, pretty tough.
You brought a lot of knowledge from around the world here. Has anyone else embraced some of these techniques and started to copy you, the other vineyards?
No, it's pretty common for the young winemakers to spend a couple of years around. It's pretty common now.
So now a lot of them are using the same technique, to squeeze the grapes, leave the stem.
We are talking about something that the guys, the winemaker of my age, 36 years old, everyone more or less spend from 2 to 5 years around the world. First to serve, first.
Yes.
And then to discover. Yeah.
So to Zah's point, I was wondering, like, is there like a, not fraternity, but like, do all the winemakers get to, or an association where you all get together and like discuss, like, and share information?
To share.
Discuss, or is it very?
So here we are more divided compared to California. I saw in California or in that region.
It's a very small
Yeah.
thing, so they do. I mean, when we went to Napa, they said they communicate with each other, talk, share
Yeah.
information, but like,
Yeah.
do you do that here?
With the colleagues that were already friends, yes. Yeah, if I met the colleagues of later you will go to which winery?
We're going to Piocesare.
Piocesare. Okay, if I met I don't know who is the winemaker of Piocesare during a tasting and we talk easily and also like a friends, but on the Italian way. You are talk, but you don't understand really what are you talking about. Okay.
We do that with our friends.
Yeah, but this because
I never know what he's talking about.
because we are less direct. We are less direct in Italy. It is what I discover is pretty affascinante. Is that probably is the language. Our language is really complex. You have a lot of shades for every single word. This is what I discovered when I was abroad. The English language is really straight. If you say one thing, that means one thing, not two.
Yeah.
It was really difficult for the Italian to learn that language for this reason. Everyone say that it's a simple language. Yes, when you discover the grammatic, maybe you can say yes. But the reason because the Italian has a lot of difficulty to learn the English language is because our grammatic is it's composed by too much layers and also significant for every single
You speak
word.
English very well. How did you learn to speak so well? School or just living in Sonoma?
No, I learned English just when I was abroad, because when I was at the end of the day and I was hungry, it was time to learn how to order the pizza with anchovies. Okay, so it is important to learn pretty quickly.
Yes.
Otherwise, the winemaker say, okay, Paolo, after 1 month, you still speaking in Italian, please find another job.
Yes.
This is why you are so straight.
You went to Sonoma not speaking any English at all?
The Italian, the level of school. So you studied for 10 years English, but you never talk in English.
Just like how we are with Spanish. You have to use it,
Yeah.
and you were forced to use it.
Yeah, but the Californian people are pretty gentle with the guy that came from abroad. They are pretty quiet. Yeah.
This has been an unbelievable conversation.
Crazy.
Yeah. I didn't say
Crazy. We are in time.
ciao, ciao. Yes. Don't say ciao twice. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.